what would your ideal Isle of Man be if you could just sort of design it from scratch? What would you do with it? And the reason I'm asking that is because I'm talking now to Sarah Mercer, who's with us this afternoon. She is the Culture Fanon and Biosphere intern and has been involved in a very interesting project on that front. And we'll come to that in a moment. But first of all, Fastamai, Sarah.
Fastamai.
Lovely to have you with us. I'm going to ask you first of all, though, about your internship, because you seem to have been involved in some really fascinating projects since you've been part of these two organisations. What have been some of the highlights for you?
My goodness, what a question. I think being able to work with the UNESCO Biosphere and Culture Fanon team has been the best part. They're just incredible, open-minded, trusting people who are so supportive of the wild and wacky ideas that we've been bringing together. And it's been fantastic to be a part of that group of people.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the wild and wacky ideas. Something that I know you've talked about on the station before is an app you were involved with called Manan's Charms. Just remind us about that.
Manan's Charms was all about getting people to get out and about and to rediscover places around the Isle of Man, and also things to do with the environment. There are so many things that, you've heard of using your own water bottle instead of buying plastic bottles. But there are so many more things like creating your own dyes made out of natural materials like gorse flowers and things like that. And we just wanted to help people explore those other ideas. And that's been one of the ideas that I've been part of doing.
So for those that have not yet downloaded this app, because it is still available, isn't it? You can still get it now, obviously. How does it actually work then? What happens? You download the app and what does it do, or what do you do with it?
So the first thing that you do is you get a quiz, and this has a bunch of different questions, a bit like a personality quiz. And from your answers, you get sorted into a clan. And there are 4 clans. You've probably heard of a few of them. There are the Fynodori, the Munjavega, and then you also have the Fermara and the Fur Obi, and they're like the Mer people and the wise people, the sort of witches almost. And once you've got sorted into your clan, there are then 20 charms to unlock. And these are all different sorts of things, like going out to your local beach and doing some picking with the beach buddies or the other groups, or creating your natural dyes, or trying new and different things like that.
Oh, this sounds great. And where can you get hold of it? Where do you go to? Is it just from the sort of app stores and things? Or
Well, it's even easier than that. No space is needed on your phone. All you have to do is type in mananscharms.im into your browser on anything: phone, iPad, laptop, computer, and mananscharms.im, and that'll take you straight there.
Fantastic. So, yes, that is still available. And I noticed there's a bit of a theme with climate and the environment. Is that something you're very passionate about?
Yeah, that's where my background has come from. And this project that I've been doing with Culture Fanon is about connecting our experience of the world and nature around us with us and our culture. And it's all integrated and all part of our world.
Okay, so let's find out about this, because this is the Island Utopias project, which sounds very fancy, I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So what is it actually all about then? Where did it start?
Well, we obviously have all been facing some difficult times in the past couple of months, and a really important time in terms of our relationships to each other and our relationships to the Isle of Man and our culture, our everyday lives, and how we relate to that. So Island Utopias has been interviewing people around the Isle of Man from all sorts of backgrounds about their experience of lockdown, how their life has changed on a day-to-day basis, their connections with family and friends who are not necessarily here. And we've also, we've seen that we've changed overnight, practically. And I think it's really opened our minds to thinking differently about our own future and also the future of the Isle of Man. And so we've been asking people to imagine what their perfect Isle of Man would look like. And there's been some really interesting answers actually to that.
So I have to ask you then, what have people been saying? What would their perfect Isle of Man be?
Well, I think some of my favourite have been wanting to be able to travel in a world like this, but without as much impact, on the environment. We're an island. We have to travel to do anything, to go and see family and friends. And there were some fantastic ideas like flying in bubbles, or going in eco-friendly aeroplanes, or sailing across. And that was really interesting. But I think what people brought from their experiences during lockdown was how much they really enjoyed roads without cars, and enjoyed taking the time to have a cup of tea outdoors, working from home, spending more time with family. And so a lot of the ideal Isle of Man that people were talking about were things that they got to experience during lockdown and wanted to continue then into the future. So that was really fantastic. And there was this just wonderful image developing of roads filled with bikes and runners, and gardens filled with people having parties and inviting family over, and having their Skype in the corner with their family from, Australia. And it was just a really lovely picture that was building up.
And the encouraging thing about that is actually those are, although it would require some planning, they are attainable, those things, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what surprised me most, was actually what we really want are really simple things. And it's a lot about connecting with our nature again, and being able to go for a walk without the noise of cars and things. And yeah, totally easy to do, with a bit of planning.
Interestingly, actually, we just had a message in from Rose, who also says an island with less background noise, which is good.
Agreed, Rose. Yes, definitely.
I mean, she does also say, and somewhere you can get Bluetooth headphones for 50 quid less, which, fair enough. But I do like the idea of less background noise. I think that's the thing, isn't it? We sort of had this time that obviously it was scary and it was different. There was some, obviously some quite difficult and challenging sides to the pandemic and to our lockdown. But at the same time, we did experience what did feel almost like a utopia in itself. But I am intrigued that there weren't some more sort of completely outlandish suggestions. You think people would sort of try and create some completely bonkers ideas? Although, having said that, travelling in a bubble is...
Yeah. And we did have some more outlandish ones. I mean, there was one lovely gentleman who suggested that we have no money whatsoever. Money is eradicated in his perfect world. And that was a very tempting idea as well. And, automation of jobs, and just having a bit more time.
Yeah. And what do you think then? What would be your kind of ideal? If you could change something about the island, what would you do?
I would like to walk through an island where people are sat outside having their tea that they've grown in their garden with their friends and family, and the roads are empty and the sky is empty apart from maybe occasional bubbles of people, and people are out having fun, enjoying life, connecting with nature, connecting with people, and that would be my ideal Isle of Man.
Oh, it does sound thoroughly lovely. And actually, this is all coming together, isn't it, into one night of a sort of performance or sort of exhibition of this, isn't it? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So from these interviews, themes have come up. Various things: travel, to do with work, to do with lifestyle, to do with family, to do with culture. And we've taken extracts from these interviews, put them into 12 themes, and 12 Manx artists have then taken them and used the words of the Manx people to inspire an artistic creation. So we have 12 pieces being exhibited at the Erin Arts Centre on the 25th of September. And also the artists have filmed their process. And so that film will be premiered also on the 25th. Alongside some incredible shots of the Isle of Man and live music played by the composer who composed all the original pieces to go with the films.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. Who was that? Who was it that did the music?
Matthew Warren is the composer.
And who were some of the artists that took part in this as well?
So Anna Clucas, who I'm sure you've heard of, has been involved, and that's been amazing. And there have been a series of others. Some you may have heard of, others you may not have. So yes,
worth checking out then, obviously. So it's a ticketed event? How do people go along to this?
Yeah, so you can get tickets either online at Eventbrite, and check out the Culture Manan website to find the link to that, and also in person at the Erin Arts Centre box office.
And you're hoping that some of these ideas might then be implemented? Are they going to be passed on to the powers that be, perhaps?
Well, absolutely. I want this to be a place that inspires us all. We're hearing the words of our next door neighbours and the people down the street, and just seeing how connected we are all in the ideas that we want. I want it to move forwards and us to connect with those, and hopefully we can get something happening in the future.